Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yotavata Kamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakandvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Nama Eva Kevalam Kaulau Nastyeva 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 Gatyaranyata. We're reading from Javedharma, 8th chapter, Nitya Dharma and Vaishnava behavior. So the devotees are assembled in Godrum and in Navadvip. And some devotees have asked questions from Babaji Maharaj, Haridas Babaji Maharaj. And then when they're discussing about the different devotees, the neophyte, the intermediate and the advanced devotees, one person came and he wanted to know what is his position, his situation. And so Haridas Babaji asked him to speak a few words about his experiences. So and then he's explaining to the devotees. And then Haridas Babaji is asking Vaishnav Das Babaji Maharaj to tell the position of Nityananda Das. So Vaishnav Das Babaji is expressing his understanding and mentioning that he entered the Madhyamadikari stage. To which Babaji Maharaj is saying and agreeing with him. So Nityananda Das, he was happy to come to know his position in devotional service. And he's praying for the mercy of the Vaishnavas, so he may become an Uttam Vaishnav. So that is natural, the devotees always want to advance more and more in spiritual life. Right? You want to advance more and more?
Yes.
You? You? You want to advance more and more? Yeah, slowly but surely? Yeah, so, Vaishnav Das. At the time that you accept the mendicancy, there was a desire for honor and prestige in your heart. So you were not actually qualified to enter the renounced order, and therefore your acceptance of mendicancy was tainted with flow of unauthorized consideration. In spite of this, you have attained genuine auspiciousness by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Nityananda Das. Even now I have some desire for honor. I think that I may attract others and win tremendous respect if I am seen weeping profusely and displaying ecstatic emotions. So this devotee Nityananda Das was, as we see here, very sincere, and he admitted his shortcomings also. So as it was pointed out to him that although he was in the dress of a mendicant, renounced, but he still had desire for prestige, name, fame, glory, the same old story. He wanted to be recognized as a great devotee. So actually to give up this actually subtle desires is not so easy. And therefore Vaishnav Das also is telling him that, Babaji, you must endeavor to give this up. Otherwise there's a serious danger that your bhakti will be eroded and you will have to descend to the Kanishta platform again. So sometimes one may advance to some level, but if he's not endeavoring sincerely and enough, then he may again come back to the lower platform. Although the 6 enemies of lust, anger, greed, envy, pride and delusion may have departed, the desire for honor remains. This desire for fame is the most pernicious enemy of the Vaishnavas, and it does not easily agree to leave the sadhakas. Moreover, a single drop of genuine spiritual emotion is far superior to an imitative display of emotion. Chaya bhav abhas. Please give me your mercy, said Nityananda Das, and reverentially placed the dust from Haridas Babaji's lotus feet on his own head. At this, Babaji became unsettled. He quickly got up, embraced Nityananda Das, sitting him by his side, and patted him on the back. How extraordinary is the effect of touching a Vaishnava. Tears immediately began to stream from Nityananda Das' eyes. And Haridas Babaji could not check his own tears, although he tried to do so. So the advanced devotees who were sincerely performing devotional service, so they may cry, or they are crying. Sometimes they're crying because they're feeling themselves unqualified. They're feeling themselves to be very insignificant. Then they're crying to the Lord for mercy. And sometimes they're crying because of transcendental bliss, chanting the holy names. And sometimes, so they're feeling separation from the Lord, and again they will cry. But that is only possible for the advanced devotees. And if one is in the association with the advanced devotees, then even devotees who are not so advanced, they may also sometimes cry. That may be there. That we have seen Prabhupada's time, when Prabhupada was there. So Prabhupada was always ecstatic and sometimes crying also, with tears coming from his eyes. And then that will cause also many times tears in the eyes of those who are with a with an advanced devotee. So that has been seen Mahaprabhu's time, the six Goswamis' times, Prabhupada's time. Even Govinda Maharaj was very exalted, and I used to also cry sometimes. And he used to say, I have opened a crying school. I used to quote a verse also, known amongst the Vaishnavas, Gauri Vaishnavas. Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dan, Bhakti A, Krishna Nam, Smarane Krandane. So Bhakti Yoga, the wealth of Bhakti Yoga. What is Bhakti? Krishna Nam, when we chant Krishna Nam, the holy names. So remembering Krishna and then crying. So therefore it is important to be the association of the advanced devotees. And as seen here, so Haridas Babaji, who had the association of Nityananda Prabhu, who is no different from Balaram, who came with Mahaprabhu to give the holy names to everyone, to give Braj Bhakti. So as Mahaprabhu was crying, so Nityananda also was crying in transcendental ecstasy. And then those in their association who were very fortunate, and so they also were crying, performing devotional service. And so this devotee Nityananda Das, so he was also fortunate to be in their association here, and so he also cried. But there's a difference when a pure devotee is crying and the ordinary devotees. Pure devotees, when they're crying, it is completely genuine. But then the ordinary devotees, sometimes they cry, and that is, so of course, it is also by good fortune, but they are not on the level of the advanced devotees. So their crying is a reflection of the transcendental, pure emotion of the advanced devotees. So the advanced devotees are in bhavavastha. And those who are not so advanced, then they are in what is also has been mentioned here, bhava bhas, so a semblance of bhav. Or even then a shadow, chaya, of the semblance of bhav. So a wonderful atmosphere was manifest, and tears came to the eyes of all the assembled Vaishnavas. At that moment, Nityananda Das accepted Sri Haridas in his heart as his guru, and his life became successful. Within a short time, the emotion subsided and he acquired. What are the primary and secondary characteristics of a Kanishta Bhakta in regard to Bhakti? Babaji, the two primary characteristics of a Kanishta Vaishnava are his faith in the eternal form of Bhagavan and his worship of the deity. The secondary characteristics are the devotional activities that he performs, such as hearing, chanting, remembering, and offering prayers. So that is for all devotees, but here so specifically, the Kanishta are mentioned here. They have faith, Shraddha, in Bhagavan. and they worship the deities. And then they are engaged in devotional activities, hearing about the Lord, chanting the holy names, and then they will remember the Lord and offer prayers. So that is the beginning. So from in the different stages of bhakti. What is the beginning? Shraddha, Shraddha. From Shraddha to Prem. You know, from Shraddha to Prem, you can say. Shraddha and then? And then? Yes. Yes.
And then Ruchi.
No. Then?
Ashakti.
No. Nishtha. And then Ruchi. And then Asakti. And then Bhav. And then Prem. Yes. So Shraddha has to be there at the beginning. And then in Sadhu Sangha, so in the beginning the faith is known as Komal Shraddha. It is soft, it is not strong. Also known as Lokik Shraddha. That is worldly faith, ordinary faith. But then in Sadhu Sangha, then the faith becomes more strong. Paramarthik, then it becomes spiritual faith, Shraddha. And then it becomes, the more one is advancing, the more the faith will be strong. The more one will be humble, the more one will be surrendered. So you wrote down, Priya, you wrote down from Shraddha to Prem? Shraddha to Prem. Okay. So all the stages, Shraddha and then? Then? Okay. So, Shraddha and then comes Sadhu Sangha.
Sadhu Sangha, and when we are humble, I don't understand this Guruji. Nishtha, Ruchi.
Okay, so we'll tell. Yeah, so first is faith, and then Sadhu Sangha, associating with the sadhus. And then you can do bhajan. When we are with the sadhus, then you can do bhajan, devotional service, bhajana kriya. And then even there, different levels are there. First, so the bhajan, when the anatas are there, it is known as anishtita bhajan. It is not fixed. So we do bhajan and then anartha. So you have to write Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, then Anartha Nivriti. Anartha means, what is Anartha?
Unwanted.
Unwanted things. Artha is something which is desirable. Anartha is undesirable. So to become free, Nivriti, from unwanted things. So, and then one can be fixed, Nishtha will be there. Nishtha, that means strong determination. And so different kinds of anarthas are there. Asat Trishna. Asat Trishna means being attracted to things which are not permanent. Trishna means thirst. Asat, that which is non-permanent. Material things, attached to material things. Thirst for material things. And then Hriday Dorbalya, weakness of heart. We know we should not eat too much ice cream. Huh? But still ice cream, okay, and devotees, okay, ice cream. But not during Chaturmas. Only some exception is there. Went to Jaipur, right? Exception was there. Yeah, so it is made by devotees, okay. So weakness of heart may be there. And then aparad, committing some offense. Nama parad, seva parad, Vaishnava parad, that has to be avoided. And also there's one unwanted thing, that is Sarup Brahma, not understanding properly Krishna's position, that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and Krishna is the source of everything, and Krishna is in Braj, and then his expanded form is Krishna in Dwarka. They are one and different. So, but in order to go to Braj, one has to worship Rajendra Nanda Krishna. If one is worshipping Nishingadev or Varaha, Matsya, one will not go to Golo. So one should know about the actual position of the Lord, and then how to perform devotional service so we can attain the goal. So that we get by the association of the devotees, especially those who are more advanced, and by hearing especially from them, and then by reading the scriptures we'll have a clear understanding. Then one will be very strong in determination, nishta. Even material desires is there, but then one will know, no, that is not good. Now Chaturmas, I should do some tapasya. I should control the mind and senses. And I should not do too much prajalpa, unnecessary talk. So that we have to understand. So we need this knowledge, and then one has to apply the knowledge and do what is favorable so we can advance. And by doing that, then we get ruchi, taste for chanting, taste for serving. Taste for prasad is easy. Prasadam ruchi. Mahaprasad plate, okay, ready. But then getting up early and then chanting, and the mind is going here and there, and then chanting and falling asleep. Prem Pradeep today, very tired, morning, falling asleep. But if the Mahaprasad plate is there, you will not fall asleep. Even you're tired, but Mahaprasad is there, Mahaprasad. But sometimes chanting Hare Krishna, because no taste is there, therefore falling asleep. But if one has taste, one will not fall asleep. Because Krishna is not different. Krishna Nam is not different from Krishna. And Krishna is very sweet. And if you see Krishna, how we can sleep? Krishna is so wonderful, so sweet. And if there is exchange with Krishna, then one will not sleep. So that is the Nam Ruchi. And then one becomes attached to Krishna, asakti. And free from this asakti, from this material world, attachment to this world. And then one is practically liberated. And one is on the spiritual platform, one will have realization of Krishna Swarup and one's Swarup. And then there's a loving exchange with Krishna. Bhav, transcendental emotion are coming. Not from the material mind, not from the material consciousness, but from the soul. Natural emotions are there. Now when we're thinking about Krishna and we are happy seeing the deity, oh nice, and then nice to serve Krishna. But if you are not advanced, so this is on the material platform still. Emotions are material, but these are good emotions, and we engage in devotional service, then we become more purified, then we come to the spiritual platform, and then the transcendental emotions are there. If you are not realized, then your emotions are not yet transcendental, they are mixed emotions. So we should try to see that we can advance slowly but surely. So Nityananda Das has explained here, he was very eager to advance. So he's inquiring. So Nityananda Das, and one cannot be a Vaishnava unless he has faith in the eternal form of Bhagavan and worship the deity according to the regulations of Shastra. So I can well understand why these two are primary symptoms. However, I cannot understand why hearing, chanting, and remembering and other such activities are secondary. So the primary characteristic and secondary characteristics. So that is for a Kanishta. So for him it's more important to worship the deities, and hearing about Krishna and chanting the holy names is not yet so important because he doesn't have taste, ruchi. So therefore he's asking, so why hearing and chanting is secondary for a Kanishta? Babaji, the Kanishta Vaishnava is not acquainted with the intrinsic nature of bhakti, Shud Bhakti, of which hearing, chanting and so on are angas. Constantly his hearing and chanting do not assume their primary identity, but are manifest in a gone form. Furthermore, whatever arises from the three gunas, sattva gun, raja gun and tama gun, gunas, passion and ignorance, is known as gona. When these activities become near gone, free from the influence of the material modes, they are angas of Shud Bhakti. And one has attained the madhyam stage. So, that is the situation. If one is under the modes of material nature, sattva gun, rajagun and tamagun, then one's hearing and chanting, so it is there, it is good, it is important, but because one does not have a taste, because one is not free from modes of material nature, so therefore it is not primary. Whereas for the Kanishta, so he has faith in God and so he sees the deity and that is inspiring him. And so he likes to do this more even than hearing and chanting. But ultimately hearing and chanting is more important. But of course all the activities of devotional service are important. But in the beginning, worshipping the deities is very important. And then later on, hearing, chanting is most important. And then one is Madhyamadikari. Nityananda Das, how can the Kanishta Vaishnava be called a Bhakta when he is contaminated with the faults of karma and jnana, and his heart is filled with desire for things other than bhakti? Babaji, one becomes eligible for bhakti once he has attained Shraddha, which is the root of bhakti. There is no doubt then that he is situated at the doorway to bhakti. The word Shraddha means Vishwas, belief. When a Kanishta Bhakta awakens belief in the divine deity, becomes eligible for bhakti. Nityananda Das. When he will obtain bhakti, Babaji, the Kanishta Bhakta becomes a Shuddha Bhakta at the Madhyam level with his contamination of karma. When his contamination of karma and jnana is dissipated and he desires nothing other than Ananya Bhakti, exclusive Bhakti. At that point he understands that there is a difference between service to guests and service to bhaktas, and thus he awakens taste for serving the bhaktas, which is favorable to bhakti. ठीक है, रहने दो. काफ़ी धुआं है. Enough smoke. सेवा? Nityananda Das, should bhakti appears along with sambandha gyan. When is that knowledge awakened by which one becomes eligible for Shuddha Bhakti? Babaji, through Sambandha Gyan and Shuddha Bhakti are manifest simultaneously when knowledge contaminated by Mayavad conception has been dispelled. How long does that take? Babaji, the stronger person Sukriti from past activities, the sooner he will attain it. So the devotees, they want to become pure devotees, that is natural. In the beginning also, devotees thinking, oh, I'm chanting now. In a few days I should become a pure devotee. But then it's going on 1 year, 2 years, and it's still, I'm still not a pure devotee, so it takes time. And it's explained here so that it depends also on past activities. If in previous life already one has been pious, devotionally inclined, then it will be easier to become highly advanced. So it is an ongoing process, this devotional service. And especially to come to the highest stage, so it will take some time. Usually it is more than just one lifetime. But we try our best to make as much as possible advancement, and we hope that we may attain perfection very soon. So if we have good previous impressions, purva samskar, if we have good association now, the environment is favorable, associating with highly advanced devotees, then it is easier to advance more and maybe even to attain perfection. But if we not attain perfection this lifetime, then next lifetime we can attain perfection. And ultimately it does not matter. So we are not after mukti, or I have to become perfect. Of course we have to have a desire also to become perfect, but we should be more interested in simply wanting to serve Krishna. I have to serve Krishna, as Mahaprabhu is saying, na danam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishwari bhavadad bhakti rahai tukhi tvai. So I do not desire dhanam means wealth, janam, followers, sundaring, beautiful wife, kavitam, to be recognized as a great poet. But I simply want to be engaged in devotional service life after life. So we should be prepared, no matter what. And whatever Krishna wants me to do, I will do. And then one will be blessed. And because after all, we are the eternal service of Krishna, so we have to serve in happiness and distress. But at the same time also, it is good to have a desire to become perfect. Because if we are perfect, then we will feel much more transcendental bliss in relationship with Krishna. And then we can help others also. And Krishna is more satisfied. So we strive for perfection, but at the same time we are patient. And so we wait for Krishna's special mercy. We endeavor, but then we wait for Krishna's special mercy. Already we are blessed that we are in Vrindavan, in Kartik, we engage in devotional service. And then so, at the same time, we wish to become perfect very soon. So the wish is fine. And Ashabandha, we should have this hope. Although it is not so easy, and we see our shortcomings, still so many problems are there. But we continue, hope against hope. Although there is no hope for me, I'm so fallen. But still I hope to get the special mercy of Krishna. And then ultimately we'll get the special mercy, and then we may become perfect. Nityananda, what is the first result attained by past Sukriti? If one was pious, what will happen? Babaji, one attains, what one will attain? Sadhu Sangha. So by Sadhu Sangha then one can advance. And what is the progression that evolves from Sadhu Sangha? Babaji, Srimad Bhagavatam describes the systematic evolution of bhakti very succinctly. Satam prasangam mamadeya samvido bhavante rekana rasayana kataha tadyoshanat ashrapavargavatmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishanti. Initiation of sadhu bhaktas. Satam prasangam. So satam here means the devotees. Prasangam, sangha, association. Initiation of Shuddha Bhaktas, the recitation and discussion of my glorious activities and pastimes are pleasing to both the heart and the ears. Mama, my virya samvito, my activities, glorious activities, virya, heroic activities of Krishna. Bhavanti, so haritkarna rasayana kataha. So these talks are rasayan. Rasayan, that also in Ayurveda we know rasayan and medicine. If one has some disease, so let's say diarrhea, one has to go to the bathroom all the time. First of all, and then you will lose weight and energy if you have to go to the bathroom. You ever had diarrhea?
Not really.
Not really, oh, you're fortunate. You had diarrhea? Never? Chote, little bit. You? Never? Wow, good. Okay. Yeah, I had some long time ago. I didn't have since some time, but I had also a few times. And then you become weak. Energy goes. So then you have to stop the diarrhea. And for this you cannot take heavy food, no sweet, no fried things, no heavy things, no paratha, chapati. You take something light. Rice, khichdi, moong dal khichdi, your rice and yogurt. And bananas. Bananas which are not completely ripe. Curd, dahi, curd. Yogurt, curd. And then that will help. But then you need some medicine also many times. Diurex. Or some other medicines, and then it will be a little okay. But then the body is weak. So then they will give you some rasayan medicine to give you strength again. So in spiritual life in the beginning, one is a little weak. And determination. So, but when you inherit karma, but when you hear the katha, which is like medicine, rasayana katha, when you hear about Krishna, Krishna's wonderful form, qualities, pastimes, that is medicine for the ear and the heart. And then we become cured from material consciousness. And then we are fixed. By cultivating knowledge in this way, one becomes established on the path of liberation and progressively attains Shraddha, then Bhav, and finally Prem. So first faith is there, and then in Sadhu Sangha, performing devotional service, one becomes free from unwanted things, then Nishta, Ruchi, and here mentioned Rati. Rati means Bhav, attachment, affection, loving sentiments for Krishna. And then pure love will be there. Nityananda Das, how does one attain Sadhu Sangha? Babaji, I've already said that Sadhu Sangha is attained by Sukriti acquired in previous birth. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. So if one is pious, then one can have this Sadhu Sangha. One will recognize the fact that I need help. If one is a sinful person, then he's not even interested in spiritual life. He's not interested in hearing from anybody. But pious people, they will understand their position and that they need help. And then they will try to associate with the sadhus. So he's quoting from Bhagavatam 10th canto. Bhava pavargo brahmato yadha bhavej. Bhava pavargo brahmato yadha bhavej. Janasya tarkyachyuta satsamagamaha. Satsangamayahi tataiva sadkatau paravare shetai jayate ratihi. O Achyuta, the Jiva has been wandering in the cycle of birth and death since time without beginning. When the time for his release from this cycle approaches, he obtains satsanga. From that moment, he becomes firmly attached to you, who are the control of both spirit and matter and the supreme goal of attainment for the sadhus. Nityananda Das. It is only by sadhu sangha that the Kanishta Bhakta awakens an inclination for worshipping the deity. So how can it be said that he doesn't render any service to sadhus? Babaji, when one attains sadhu sangha by good fortune, Vishwas or belief in the divinity of the deity awakens. Nonetheless, worship of the deity must be accompanied by service to the sadhus themselves. Until this type of faith develops, one's sadhu is incomplete and one remains ineligible for Ananya Bhakti. So one has to worship the deities, but one has to also associate with the sadhus. One has to serve the sadhus, the saintly devotees, the Vaishnavas. Nityananda Das, what are the stages of progress for Kanishta Bhakta? Babaji, suppose that the Kanishta Bhakta worships the deity, form of Bhagavan every day with faith, but is not yet free from the contamination of Kama Jnana and extraneous desires. By chance, some guests come to him who happen to be Bhaktas, and he welcomes and serves them, just as he would any other guests. The Kanishta Bhakta observes the activities and behavior of Bhaktas and gets a chance to hear their discussions of spiritual topics based on the Shastra. In this way, he begins to develop great respect for the character of the Bhaktas. So, an intelligent devotee, he will understand the importance of association with devotees. He will understand there's a difference between ordinary people and the devotees. So the devotees only, they can help the beginner devotee to advance further. So the more advanced devotee, they can help the neophyte devotees. And then naturally then, when the neophyte devotees is seeing the help from the more advanced devotee, then he begins to respect the devotees. He begins to serve the bhaktas, the Vaishnavas. At this point, he becomes aware of his own defects. He begins to follow the behavior of the sadhus and to rectify his own behavior. So one has to try to see that one has some defects. And then one should try to correct the defects. So that is already more advanced. But the neophyte, very neophyte devotee thinks, I am okay, I am doing good. But those who are a little more advanced, they understand I still have to do a lot in order to advance more. I have so many shortcomings, anarthas, I have to become free from them. Gradually his defects of karma and jnana begin to fade, and as his heart becomes purified, he becomes increasingly free from extraneous desires. He studies the Shastra by regularly hearing narrations of Bhagavan's pastimes, and the fundamental ontological truth about Bhagavan. His Sambandha Gyan becomes progressively firmer as he accepts the transcendental nature of Bhagavan, Sri Nam, and the angles of bhakti such as hearing and chanting. When his Sambandha Gyan becomes complete, he attains the stage of a Madhyam Vaishnava. So one has to understand this Sambandha Gyan. What is Sambandha Gyan?
It's the connection with Krishna.
And
And it's Avideya, Ayurveda.
yeah, but Sambandha Gyan, so it's connection with Krishna, understanding the position of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and we are very insignificant. And one understands that one is in this material world and one has to get out of this material world. And then one will inquire about Abhideya, the process of devotional service. And one will inquire from the devotees who are more advanced, so that one can progress. So therefore Sambandha Gyan is important, therefore it is mentioned we chant with Sambandha Gyan, so attentively chanting and hearing, understanding and the spirit soul, and trying to control the mind and the senses, and serving with Sambandha Gyan, then I'm serving Krishna, the Supreme Lord, for His pleasure, and I'm chanting the holy names, or doing kirtan for the pleasure of Krishna. So, on the platform of Abhideya, one learns about how to practically serve the deities and how to chant properly the holy names and in which mood. And so even at that time still, the Sambandha Gyan will be there. And one will chant in this mood that I am the true servant of Krishna. But one becomes more knowledgeable, one becomes more dedicated, one becomes more humble, respectful. And one has more faith in the process, in the Lord. And then one can advance further and further. And then in the highest stage, so then there's practical realization of our sambandha. One is seeing oneself as a spirit being, and one will realize one's relationship with Krishna. In the beginning it's theoretical, but then on the higher platform, Uttam Bhakti, then the practical realization is there. When his Sambandha Gyan becomes complete, he attains the stage of a Madhyam Vaishnava. It is at this point that he truly begins to associate with bhaktas. He can then perceive that bhaktas are vastly superior to ordinary guests, and he can begin to regard them on the level of Guru. So one associates with the devotees and then one serves them, and one is trying to inquire from them how to advance further. Any question? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any question? Question?
जैसे ये होता है ना कि दूसरे में दोष देखना,
दूसरे में दोष देखना.
तो वो दोष तो जो हम दूसरे में दोष देख लिया कुछ है, तो मतलब उनके अंदर तो है, लेकिन जो हम दूसरे में देख रहे हैं, आपने बताया था कि हमें दूसरे में दोष नहीं देखना चाहिए, जिससे कि हमारी भक्ति का वो होता है. तो एक हिसाब से वो तो परेशान है, तो उसमें दोष देख के तो हम और अपने आप को ही परेशान कर रहे हैं। तो
तो क्या करें?
तो वही है कि वो जो कर रहे हैं उसमें हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते, इससे अच्छा कि अपने आप पर ध्यान दें।
Yeah, so she's asking, so sometimes you may see some faults in others. They may be there, the faults may be there, or sometimes, yes, and then to correct, we may not be able to correct. And so, but we should actually, even sometimes you may see the fault, but actually it may not be a fault sometimes. So we have to be careful. And also then rather than seeing fault in others, look, this fault, that problem, this is wrong. But then the three, this is not right. And three, what about here? First we have to see ourselves. We have to see how we can improve. We should not worry about others' problems. But we should see first ourselves and try to improve ourselves. But then others with others, it depends. If one is more senior, then we should not, then what we can do, nothing we can do. But if one is on the same platform, then one may point out, my dear friend, why are you doing this? I don't think it is good. So then we may point it out. If one is junior, we may help, but only if the relationship is there. If you don't have much relationship with somebody else, there's no need to point out. Like if somebody is working here in bridge bus, okay, we respect bridge buses. But if he's smoking, there is a fault. But we cannot tell him, if we don't know him, we cannot tell him, why are you smoking? We cannot tell. It is not our position, because we don't have a relationship. And also if we tell somebody, why are you smoking? If we don't know him, then he became irritated. And he will say, why are you asking me? He may even slap you in the face. So if a relationship is there with a person, but then we have to see if he's more seniors, then we should not say anything. Those on the same level, then we may point out, and those who are junior, we may try to help them in a humble way and lovingly. So, but better to see the gun than the dosh. Better to see the good qualities than the fault. Like the bee. Bee is going to the flowers to get the pollen and making honey. We should be like the bee. But the fly, where is fly going? Fly is going to dirty place. If there's a cut here, blood, they will go there. And they may cause some problem, some infection if the fly is there. So, and also it is mentioned that if we see fault in others, that fault may come to us. If you're always thinking, oh, this person is not good, why is he always criticizing others? This person is not good. Then the tendency will be there that we will criticize. Already we said why he's criticizing others. Already then we may criticize. And this person is also criticizing. And then we may criticize also. So that is mentioned in the scriptures. So therefore we should see the good in others. Then the good may come to us. Oh, this devotee is so nice. He's chanting very nicely, serving nicely. And then that may also come to us. So we should be positive and see the good in others. Then we become good also. But if we see the faults, only see the faults, then the fault will be there in us. So we should not worry about others' faults too much. But we should try to work on ourselves to become free from faults, and we should try to be positive and see the good in others. Okay? Hare Krishna.